This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, December the 28th, is an NHL icon who unfortunately is known as the younger brother to a legendary NHL defenseman of their own. Nevertheless, this guy didn't play defense like his brother. He played center primarily. He played for Florida, Calgary, Anaheim, New Jersey, and Buffalo for 17 years. He was teammates with his older brother for 4 seasons. He was born in Cassiar, British Columbia, but grew up in Cranbrook. His name is Rob Niedermayer. You may know his brother Scott Niedermayer, but yeah, I'm doing one on Rob Niedermayer because why not? And he turns the golden age, 50 years old today. Rob Niedermayer played for Medicine Hat in the Western Hockey League and then was drafted 5th overall by the Florida Panthers in the 1993 NHL draft. Of course, everyone knows about the 93 NHL draft, about the fact that Alex Daigle was picked by Ottawa, and Ottawa technically tanked to get Daigle, which was the start to why we have the NHL draft lottery. Well, the NHL has the draft lottery, baseball has the draft lottery, basketball does, but football doesn't. They'll soon have to turn it into a draft lottery. I think Goodell could get some mucho dinero for that. Nevertheless, yeah, Alex Daigle was picked first overall, and it was a massive bust. Hartford, in a trade with San Jose, trading their first round picks with each other. The Whalers got Chris Pronger. San Jose, of course, was the second worst team in the NHL that year, but they traded with Hartford. So Hartford got Chris Pronger. San Jose got Victor Kozlov, which wasn't bad, but then he was much known for being a Florida Panther, like Rob Niedermayer. Tampa took Chris Gradden third overall, and in the first picks of their respective franchises, the Ducks took Paul Kariya and the Panthers took Rob Niedermayer. So their first ever picks, because Anaheim and the Panthers were going to be in the 93-94 season, their first season. So he never played in the minors. He was put up with the big club and did decently. He helped the Panthers in 96 win a trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. It was a shock because, well, yeah, they beat Boston in the first round, but then they faced Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, both very hard teams to deal with. Philly had Lindros and Pittsburgh had Lemieux. And somehow the Panthers beat them both and got to the finals, but the Avalanche stopped them in 4 games. Unfortunately, concussions would hurt Niedermayer's scoring prowess and became more of a defensive forward. The Panthers kept him until 2001 after the season, trading him to Calgary in exchange for Valerie Bure and Jason Wiemer. And then he played a year and a bit for the Flames before being shipped to Anaheim at the 2003 trade deadline. And the Ducks, as the 7th seed in the Western Conference, actually were not supposed to beat the defending Stanley Cup champion Detroit Red Wings, who were the 2 seeds. But they did. Not only did they beat the Red Wings in the first round, they swept them. And then the Ducks would take care of Dallas in the second round, take care of fellow Cinderella Minnesota, the Minnesota Wild, in the third round to get to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Devils. They pushed the Devils to a Game 7, but it was in New Jersey, and Martin Brodeur was hot and all that. The worst part for Rob, in a sense, was that he was playing against his brother Scott, who was a high-ranking defenseman for the Devils. And let's not forget, Scott Niedermayer could have been a Leaf but the Leafs traded their first-round pick in 1991. Well, in 1989, they traded their first-round pick in 1991 to the Devils for the one of powerplay quarterback Tom Kerbers. Leafs suffered, and the Leafs ended up finishing second last in the NHL. They would have got the third pick because the San Jose Sharks were given the second pick. So Toronto would have had the third pick and taken Scott Niedermayer instead of the Devils taking him. In fact, Rob and Scott Niedermayer were the first set of brothers to play against each other in the Stanley Cup Finals since Ken and Terry Reardon in 1946. Ken for the Habs and Terry Reardon for the Bruins, if memory serves me right. In the summer of 2005, the Ducks took Scott Niedermayer from New Jersey in a free agent signing. So they would be facing they wouldn't be facing each other. They'd be on the same team. So Rob and Scott Niedermayer were the power couple, if you will. Scott was named captain of the Ducks, and Rob was an alternate. The Ducks would mature and in 2007 went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Ottawa Senators and beat them in five, becoming the first brothers to win the Stanley Cup together since Dwayne and Brett Sutter in 1983. After Scott took the first lap around the cup with the Stanley Cup, he handed it to Rob. Stanley Cup tradition dictated that the alternate captain who has waited the longest to win the cup would take the next lap after the captain takes his lap. But he gave it to Rob. And it was actually shocking because, Tibu Solani had won the Stanley Cup, and, his reactions after winning the Stanley Cup were huge. Chris Pronger also waited a while for the Stanley Cup. Solani played one more year than Pronger did at the time because Solani was a rookie in 93 and Pronger was drafted in 93. Regardless, he won the cup with the Ducks, and then September the Devils signed him to a deal. So he went to the Devils where Scott was as a player. And then in 2010 he was signed by the Sabres and left the NHL in 2011. Rob would marry his longtime girlfriend, who he'd been dating since 2001, in 2006, having three daughters. Niedermayer was actually a minor owner in the Cooney Ice in the WHL for 18 years before selling his stake in 2016. So in his career with the Panthers, Flames, Ducks, Devils, and Sabres, he scored 186 goals, 283 assists, 469 points in over 1,100 games. He was more of a defensive forward. 18 goals in 116 playoff games. He did win a gold medal at the World Championships in 2004 for Canada, but other than that, not much. His only major honor and award was Stanley Cup champion for the Ducks in 2007. And he was drafted fifth overall in that famous 93 NHL draft. Traded to Calgary in 2001 after 8 years with the Panthers. Then traded to the Ducks in 2003 for Mike Commodore, who would help the Flames get their playoff run in 2004. Signed by the Devils as an unrestricted free agent in 2009, and then the Sabres in 2010. So he lived a good life. I mean, he's not as well known as Brother Scott, but I mean, dude, Rob Niedermayer was a decent player, and the Niedermayer name, it was huge. That's why I did him. So sue me. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.